Good day, class. For today's discussion, we'll continue our topic for midterms. So this is our fourth topic because you are already done with your debate topics. So in this video, we'll talk about what really happened during the Cavite Mutiny. And just a disclaimer, class, I do not own this PowerPoint presentation. It was made by Kyle Hayden Manalo. So in 1872 class, it's a historic year of two events. Why and what are these two events? This include the Cavite Mutiny itself and the martyrdom of Gomburza, or the three martyr priests who were implicated in the event. They were said to have connived with the 200 soldiers involved in the Cavite Mutiny as per report of the Spanish official, Governor General Izquierdo. We'll learn more about General Izquierdo in the succeeding slides. Okay, so Cavite Mutiny class is a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos. So these two events class serve as an eye-opener for Filipinos to ask for reform from the Spanish government. This include Jose Rizal, who started doing some write-ups and even a novel titled El Filibusterismo dedicated to the Gombursa. So this write-ups class by Rizal was read by the leaders of the Katipunan, which also pushed them not only to seek for reform, but most importantly, freedom from the oppressors, of course, the Spaniards, because of course, they were already aware or experiencing injustices and oppression from the Spaniards during that time. All right. So next slide. It says here, okay, the definition for mutiny. It says here a rebellion against authority, and it comes from an old verb, mutin, which means revolt. So that's mutiny. And in general class, I mean, general class, this term is used widely for military and even sailors, but this can also be used for some groups, which includes slaves and among others. Now, the recent mutiny which transpired in the Philippines was the Oakwood Mutiny in 2003. This was a mutiny done by the soldiers who were called Magdalo uh, because they wanted reforms, because they believed that the government, which was led by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo back then, was uh, also involved in corruption, and they were also seeking for some reforms in the military. One example is that uh, the wage they are getting from the government is low, and some other benefits such as housing. Okay, so you can see mutiny. Now we talk about the Cavite mutiny. So this mutiny class, 200 soldiers or around 200 soldiers and laborers were involved. They were at the Fort San Felipe or the Cavite Arsenal somewhere in Cavite, Philippines during that time. And the reason class is that uh, the Governor General Izquierdo abolished some of the privileges given to them. So itong mga sundalong ito class, when they join the military or when they serve as laborers for the Spanish government, they have some special privileges. This include the exemption from paying the tributo or taxes, which also later known as cedula, and they were also exempted from the Polo e-Servicio. Polo's e-Servicio class is a force or is what they call a forced labor during their time, wherein 18-year-old men up to 60-year-old were forced to work on the constructions of roads and bridges and other community works. And this work, they will render 40 days to do free labor. So wala po silang bayad pag ginagawa nila ito. And another is that they are receiving a salary from the Spanish government. So those were the privileges they were getting from the government. But when Governor General Izquierdo came to the Philippines, some of these privileges were abolished. This includes the exemption from Polo y Servicio and the exemption from paying taxes. So that's the reason why they made or did the Cavite mutiny. So they were led by General Lamadrid. Okay, so it says here in this slide, around 200 soldiers and laborers rose up in the belief that it would elevate to a national uprising. So, yun. However, the mutiny was unsuccessful because as soon as Governor General Izquierdo heard or was notified about what was happening in the Cavite arsenal, he immediately uh, reinforced government soldiers to stop the mutiny. So, hindi siya naging successful. Now, anong nangyari sa leaders ng mutiny na yun? They were sentenced to life imprisonment and saan sila nilagay? Nilagay sila sa Marianas Island. Okay. Now, we talk about the martyrdom of the three priests. Of course, you all know the name of the three priests. We have Jose Burgos, Jacinto Zamora, and what's the name of the other? And Mariano Gomez. So these three priest class were implicated in the Cavite Mutiny. So in the report of Governor General Izquierdo, uh, sinabi niya doon that these three priests were the masterminds of the Cavite Mutiny without proper investigation. All right. So, Gombursa class, of course, is the collective name of the three martyred priests. O, and yan na nga. They were tagged as the masterminds of the Cavite Mutiny. So, let's talk about them. So, Gombursa. So, mamaya pala yun. Gombursa class, they were prominent Filipino priests charged with treason and sedition. Ito rin yung kaso na chinarge kay Jose Rizal noon. That's why he was sentenced to death. So, treason class, ito yung betraying one's country, often by attempting to overthrow the government or assisting enemies to overthrow the government. And for sedition is this one is when you incite or cause or start rebelling against the government in various ways, maybe using speech or writing. Now, the Spanish clergy connected the priest to the mutiny as part of a conspiracy to stifle the movement of secular priests. Ano ba tong movement na ito? This is what we call the uh, wait lang, what we call the secularization movement. So the secularization movement class is the desire of the native clergies to have their own parishes instead of just being assistants to the Spanish friars. And there was already a mandate in the central government of Spain during that time wherein they will remove the powers of these Spanish friars to govern these parishes, including schools. So, ito yung naging reason kung bakit kinonect nila or inimplicate nila ang Gombursa sa Cavite Mutiny. Of course, alam naman natin na during the Spanish times here in the Philippines, close ang simbahan at ang government. And it was even described on the novels of Rizal that the Spanish friars were having special special power para pakialaman ang affairs ng government. So, kung naaalala nyo yung mga si Padre Damaso sa mga nobela ni Rizal. Right. So, eto pag-usapan natin isa-isa ang Gombursa, si Father Mariano Gomez. He is the oldest among the three. So, he was on his mid-70s and he was a Chinese Filipino born in Cavite. So, he held the most senior position of the three as Archbishop's vicar in Cavite. He was truly nationalistic and accepted the death penalty calmly as though it were his penance for being pro-Filipinos. Bakit ba hinhighlight na siya yung nag-accept ng death penalty calmly? Because merong isang pari na kung saan binansagan itong siya ang may pinakamadramang pagkamatay during their execution. So ito sa next slide, siya yun. Okay, siya si Father Jose Burgos. Siya yung may pinakamadramang pagkamatay. Bakit pinakamadrama? Because when he was about to be killed or executed, he was heard by the audience back then or the witnesses back then shouting that he doesn't even deserve to be killed because wala naman daw siyang ginawang krimen. So, he shouted that twice. Okay, and then later on, para mapakalma siya, some of the priests told him that even Jesus died as an innocent person. This made him calm and eventually he accepted his fate. So just like Jesus, namatay din daw si Jose Burgos as an innocent man. Now, so here are some information about Jose Burgos. Aside from those, he is of Spanish descent, born in the Philippines. He was a parish priest of the Manila Cathedral and had been known to be close to the liberal Governor General de la Torre. He was 35 years old at the time and was active and outspoken in advocating the Philippinization of the clergy or what we call the secularization movement. Among them, class, siya rin ang may PhD in theology. So that's Father Jose Burgos. Now, we move on to Father Jacinto Zamora. Sa kanilang tatlo naman, class, ang pagkakakilanlan kay Father Jacinto Zamora is that he was a gambler. O, diba? Parish siya, pero siya ay medyo addict sa sugal. And it was even told by historians that due to his habit of gambling, it resulted to his death. Bakit naman kaya nagresulta sa kanyang pagkamatay ang gambling? Okay, siguro mamaya yan, pag-usapan natin. Pag-usapan muna natin yung nasa slide. So Zamora is a 37 years old priest, a Spanish born in the Philippines, and he was the parish priest of Marikina and was known to be unfriendly to and would not countenance any arrogance or authoritative behavior from Spaniards coming from Spain. So, palaban itong si Jacinto Zamora. Okay, balik tayo sa pagiging gambler niya. Ito yung dahilan ng kanyang pagkamatay because the Spaniards found a note in his room. And sa note na yun nakalagay, na-mention doon ang ammunition and powder. Now, kapag siyempre narinig natin ang word na ammunition and powder, ang unang-una nating maiisip is siguro firearm or gun. But, accordingly, that was a jargon term for a money used in gambling. So, yun yung ginagamit na pera daw pang sugal. Pero, of course, sa pagkakaalam ng mga Spaniards na nag-imbestiga, uh, they immediately concluded that powder and ammunition refers to firearms. And ibig sabihin daw nun, may plano rebellion nga itong si Zamora against the Spaniard. So yun yung kwento about him being a gambler. And on his death naman class, ang sabi ng mga Philippine historians, bago pa daw siya namatay, I mean, bago pa daw siya ginamitan ng garote, namatay na daw siya. That's according to witnesses. Kasi nga, ah, hindi na daw siya gumagalaw nung ginarote siya. They believe that Jacinto Zamora had a nervous breakdown. So yun yung sinasabi nila na namatay na siya bago pa siya magarote. Okay, so that's Father Jacinto Zamora. So moving forward, we have here the Spanish accounts of the Cavite Mutiny. One was written by Montero, a Spanish historian, and another was the official report made by Governor Izquierdo. Right. So Jose Montero y Vidal Glass is a Spanish historian again. His account centered on how the event was an attempt in overthrowing the Spanish government in the Philippines, and his account on mutiny was criticized as woefully biased. So he highlighted there in his account that Spanish mutiny, the Cavite mutiny was really an attempt to overthrow the Spanish government. So it says here, dun sa account niya naka-state doon, the idea of attaining their independence, it was towards this goal that they started to work with the powerful assistance of a certain, uh, uh, tawag doon, yung mga native clergy nga pertaining to the Gombursa. And for Governor Rafael Izquierdo, he also implicated the native clergy. So in his report, he stated there that the 200 soldiers involved in the Cavite Mutiny connived with the native clergy, including the Gombursa, who were active in the movement towards secularization of parishes. So it says here in a biased report, he highlighted the attempt to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines to install a new Harry in the persons of Father Burgos and Zamora. So Harry daw. And here, according to Izquierdo, native clergy attracted supporters by giving them charismatic assurance that their fight would not fail because they will be supported by God. And another is that they were promised lofty rewards such as employment, wealth, and even ranks in the army. So yun yung sinabi sa report ni Izquierdo. Yun yung account nila, yun yung side nila about the Cavite Mutiny. And if we are to select the highlight class, itong sinasabi talaga nila is Cavite Mutiny is really an attempt to overthrow the Spanish. So here's an excerpt from the official report of Governor Izquierdo on the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. So it was noted there that it hasn't been clearly determined if they plan to establish a monarchy or a republic because the Indios have no word in their language to describe this form of government. And then the head would be called Hari, but it turns out that they would place at the head government a priest. It's either of the two priests, Jose Burgos or Jacinto Zamora. And of course, this is originally written in Spanish, but later on it was translated to English. Another Spanish accounts underscores the reason for the revolution, or so the reason were the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the workers of Cavite Arsenal, such as exemption from payment of tribute and being employed in polo e servicio. So we already tackled that a while back on the past slide. So we move on. Another is the presence of the native clergy against the Spanish friars who conspired and supported the rebels in the Cavite Mutiny. To continue with the Spanish accounts of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. Okay, so in their accounts, they said there that the mutiny was premeditated, meaning it was really planned and a part of a big conspiracy among educated leaders, mestizos, lawyers, and residents of Manila and Cavite. So when we say conspiracy class, it refers to a secret plan of a group to do something unlawful or harmful. And one example of this class, ito na nga yung Cavite mutiny. And the plan was allegedly the first ones to be killed would be the high-ranking military officials of the Spanish government and then later on, the Spanish friars. So, yun daw ang plano nila based on the accounts of the Spaniards. Dalawa lang naman yung accounts. It was from Montero and another from the report of Governor General Izquierdo. So, sorry for the pauses. So, in January 20, 1872, the District of Sampaloc celebrated the Feast of the Virgin Loreto. Came with it or some fireworks display. So, syempre, pista yun, meron silang fireworks display. And, again, accordingly, from Spanish accounts, the Caviteños mistook this as a signal to commence the attack. So, parang sinasabi nila, yung fireworks na yun ang nagsilbing signal para daw start nila ang attack against the Spaniard. That's why, yun nga, nangyari ang Cavite. 200 men was led by Sergeant Lamadrid and they attacked Spanish officers at sight and seized the arsenal. So accordingly, class, according to our Filipino historians, at least 7 Spaniards were killed during the attack. So nalaman agad ni Izquierdo, so upon being notified, he ordered reinforcement of the Spanish forces in Cavite to immediately stop the revolt. And again, it was easily crushed because Manileños who were expected to aid the Caviteños did not arrive to help them. Okay. In result, leaders of the plot were killed and others were sentenced to life imprisonment and were thrown at the Marianas Island. For Father Burgos, Gomez, and Zamora, they were tried by a court martial and trial by a court martial and sentenced to be executed. At yun na nga, they were executed using garrote. And I just want to highlight, class, that one leader of the mutiny served as a state witness against the 3 martyred priests. It was Francisco Zaldua or Francisco Zaldua. So lahat ng episode ng Philippine History class, we can observe here na meron parating sip-sip. But sa nangyari naman kay Zaldua, prinamis sa kanya na mababawasan ang kanyang punishment kapag magiging state witness siya. But, noong time na ng pagpatay sa Gombursa, he was the first one to be executed using garrote. So, parang sa part na yun, class, it's what we call justice is served. Next, others who were implicated were Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Antonio Maria Regidor, Jose Basa, and Pio Basa. And others were Filipino lawyers and other educated leaders. They were arrested at yun nga, they were sentenced to life imprisonment and were thrown at the Marianas Island. On February 17, 1872, yun na yung pagkamatay ng Gombursa by garrote in public para daw magsilbing pala sa mga Pilipino to never attempt to fight or go against the Spanish government. And accordingly, on this slide, it says here that this scene was purportedly witnessed by a young Jose Rizal. But again, a Filipino historian corrected this mistake in Philippine history because the event was not really witnessed by a young Jose Rizal because at that time, Pasiano Rizal, the guardian of Jose Rizal and also his brother, was connected to or close to Father Jose Burgos. And ayaw niyang makonect siya sa Cavite mutiny. That's why they decided to go in Laguna para dun magtago muna. So, hindi daw totoong nakita or na-witness ni Rizal ang pagkamatay ng Gombursa. And here, differing accounts of the events of 1872. So kung may account ang mga Spanish, meron din ang mga Pilipinas natin. So one would come from Pardo de Tavera and another would come from Edmund, a French writer. So meron siyang apelyido dyan, class, but I cannot pronounce it correctly. So bahala na lang kayo kung paano siya i-pronounce. Because of course, he is a French writer. Meron silang sariling pronunciation ng kanilang mga pangalan. But first, we first talk about Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo de Tavera. So he is a Filipino scholar and a researcher and wrote a Filipino version of the bloody incident in Cavite. So itong dalawang accounts na to, class, ang sinasabi lang naman nila is they the Filipinos were asking for reform or positive changes from the Spanish government, in contrary to the accounts of the Spaniards, wherein they were highlighting that the Cavite Mutiny was really an event or a plan to overthrow the Spanish government. Now, we move on to the accounts of Pardo de Tavera. So it says here, the incident was merely a mutiny by Filipino soldiers and laborers of the Cavite arsenal to the dissatisfaction arising from the draconian policies of Izquierdo. So ito na nga yung abolition of privileges, and another is the founding of the School of Arts and Trades. So ayaw ni Izquierdo ng pag-build doon si School of Arts and Trades. So School of Arts and Trades, class, when we compare it to today's time, ito yung mga vocational schools natin na nag-offer ng mga na nagtuturo ng skills para sa mga batang Pilipino. Another, the Central Spanish government was planning to deprive the priors of all the powers of intervention in matters of civil government and direction and management of educational institutions. So nabanggit ko na to kanina. So ito, parehas sila doon sa accounts ng mga Spaniards. So meron talagang plan ang Central Spanish government na i-abolish ang power ng mga Spanish priors na magkaalam sa government affairs and yung uh, uh, pagiging pagme-medal nila sa mga educational institutions. Alright. So, from Pardo de Taveras account, ang nilagay niya doon, Filipinos had great hopes of an improvement in the affairs of their country. So, take note, class, great hopes of an improvement. So, meaning reform. The friars feared that their power in the colony would soon be a complete a thing of the past. So, yun nga, ayaw ng mga Spaniards or yung mga friars na magiging history na lang yung uh, uh, tawag doon, power na meron sila. Alright, ito na, si Edmund, a French writer. So, he complimented or supported Taveras' account and analyzed the motivation of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. So, agad-agad, class, we can conclude that this is already a secondary source which complemented Tavera's account. So here's an excerpt from Edmund's account of the Cavite Mutiny. The arrival in Manila of General Izquierdo put a sudden end to all dreams of reforms. Take note again, class, reforms. Such a policy must really end in a strong desire on of the other to repress cruelly. Alright, eto na nga. The differing accounts. Friars used Cavite Mutiny as a part of a larger conspiracy to cement their dominance. So natakol na natin yan kanina. They showcased the mutiny as part of a greater conspiracy in the Philippines by Filipinos to overthrow the Spanish government. So yun yun. But for the others, for the Filipino and the French writer, it's reform. Unintentionally, it resulted in the martyrdom of Gomburza, yung pagkamatay nila, and paved way to the revolution, culminating in 1800s. All right. So if there are differing accounts in the Cavite Mutiny, meron din namang similarities, class dun sa accounts ng mga Filipino historians natin and dun sa accounts ng mga Spanish historians and also the report of General Izquierdo. So one would be uh, the dissatisfaction among workers was really evident. Another is General Izquierdo came to the Philippines and introduced rigid policies. Example of those rigid policies ay yung pagka-abolish nga ng mga privileges ng ating mga soldiers and laborers in the Cavite Arsenal. And another is meron talagang mandate yung central government of Spain to abolish the powers of the Spanish friars na may alam sa pagpapatakbo ng gobyerno and yung pagpapatakbo ng mga educational institutions. And fourth, Filipinos were already aware of the injustices. And meron pa, panglima, yung pagkamatay ng Bombursa na mention naman dun. And another class is walang nangyaring investigasyon bago na sentence to death yung tatlong hari. Now, for this certain slide, it says here, Rizal dedicated his second novel, El Filibusterismo, to their memory. So, dun sa note niya sa kanyang libro, I dedicate my work to you as victims of the evil which I undertake to combat. All right, so that's the end of our presentation. But I'll just have to make this announcement, class, na yung sinend ko sa inyo sa GC na mga reading materials, pakibasa ito because I will be using that reading materials para doon sa unit quiz ninyo and doon sa inyong exam. So don't expect me to discuss it again because you were already given time to read, to research, and even had the debate activity para doon sa mga topics natin na mga yan. So, yun. Good luck on your exams and your unit quiz next week. Bye.